All right, so this is an interesting one. Here we have, this is a YouTuber who's sort of kind of made a name for himself. He likens himself to be a anti-vegan protester who's on an anti-vegan tour throughout UK recently. His YouTube handle, not even quite sure how you pronounce this, SV3Ridge, if you want some top-notch entertainment slash comedy slash concerning type videos, I guess. He has all sorts of stuff there. He's a big conspiracy theorist. Every conspiracy theory under the book, he's gonna like give it way more consideration than it ought to have, frankly. But anyways, back to this here. So he's on this vegan tour. He's going throughout UK, basically going to Veg Fest events or places where there's lots of vegans and just trolling. And so what he was doing, one event recently in late March, he had a pig's head, like an actual raw pig's head, and he went there. He had this pig's head in his hands. You know, I don't know how many details everybody wants here, but I mean, it's just like brains, the whole thing right there, and he's just literally taking bites out of this thing, obviously looking for attention, which he succeeded at. And you know, lots of vegans were there, activists with Direct Action Everywhere were there protesting, lots of conversations. Interestingly, the media attention, of which there was plenty, really honed in on one particular point, which we're going to expand on momentarily, whereby there's all these folks who come to Veg Fest, and most people who come to Veg Fest actually are not vegans. They're people who kind of are curious about vegan food and vegan lifestyle and so on. So all these people who eat animals are confronting this guy, and they're just horrified and disgusted, of course. And they're like, you know, what are you doing? Like, this is really disgusting and off-putting and makes me not want to eat animals. How about that? And so that was the one event. Then he later went on, and he similarly went to another Veg Fest in the UK, and he had a decapitated squirrel. So squirrel, no head, fur, tail, whole thing, just eating it right there. He was arrested this time around, so not only did he draw attention from the onlookers, from the public, from the media, from his YouTube channel, he also got the attention of the police. And so that was, you know, I don't know, maybe that's good for him in some way. He's going to draw more attention. I don't know, some sort of martyrdom thing going on there. We'll see how that shakes out for him. Now, the media coverage around this, is, as I said, was really kind of an interesting thing to look at. So, you know, on the surface of it, you see these outlets, they're going to go for the sensational. That's what they always do. So, you know, Fox News, you know, national Fox News in the U.S., like, they jump all over it. They jump all over the, you know, two vegan parents, two people in this world who happen to be parents who malnourish their baby, and then it's vegan, 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 oh my God, vegans are terrible, like stupid shit that they always do. You know, they're doing this again. In this example, you know, meanwhile, Direct Action Everywhere, me as the press coordinator for DXE will send them all the press releases in the world, video, photos. Hey, you know, 58 activists got arrested on multiple felony charges for trying to help dying chickens, like crickets. Nothing to say about that. But I want to say a little bit more about the media coverage on this because you know, this is really a good case study in exactly the messaging issues that we talk about here. So, you know, we talk a lot in this show about focusing not on humans and their choices, not on veganism, but on animals and their rights, anti-speciesism. And so here we have this guy, you know, anti-vegan, he has the shirt, veganism equals malnutrition, you know, so he's very much trying to play into this whole thing, which is super clickbaity. People really are drawn to this because that's the way humans are. You know, these fringe, snobby, irrational, we'll say, stupid, we'll say, questioning science because we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, we'll say, you know, vegans versus the rest of the world who's got it right. So he's really trying to play into that with at least with his speech. But then he does this other thing where he's like eating these animals and it's disgusting. And lo and behold, what happens when you focus on the animals? Even when you're doing it in, you know, just about the most disgusting, disrespectful way possible, his messaging is animal focused. And lo and behold, when you focus on the animals, what happens? You make people think. People are on your side. People don't want any part of that. And so I think there's an important distinction there to be made between somebody like this guy who, you know, frankly, you know, there's been studies done, there's links that are made between cruelty towards animals and violence towards humans. So when somebody is, you know, if you're in childhood, people, you know, kids are out there killing animals, being cruel to animals, that's a major warning sign that they're going to commit acts of violence towards humans later on in life, that there's some issues there. And I think that's something we should worry about with this individual himself, frankly. But that's not the way it is for the vast majority of the population. The vast majority of the population is consuming animals, of course, but they're not doing, they're not proud of it. All right, they're not really forthright about it. They're doing it not because they love violence towards animals. In fact, the very opposite is true. They're just consuming animals because it's so normalized. It's everywhere around them. They go to a store. They're not killing animals. They're not seeing a decapitated squirrel. They're not seeing a pig's head. They're seeing a package, and it's normalized. And when they're actually confronted with what's going on, whether it's via an investigation by a group like Direct Action Everywhere, an investigation by a group like Mercy for Animals, or when they're confronted by the reality of dead animals by a guy like him who's actually trying to give them the opposite message, but he can't win, because when people see what's going on as far as violence towards animals, they want no part of it. So lo and behold, there you have it. So I don't know, I invite folks to go over and check out his YouTube channel if you want to. I say that with some hesitation because how much traction do we really want to give this guy? But I think that, one of the best ways to diffuse bad ideas is to give them enough air to let them kind of defeat themselves. And he's got all sorts of fun stuff there about flat Earth, and evolution is a complete joke. That was one of my favorites in researching for this story. I certainly don't want to advocate for this kind of thing, going out there and, purchasing dead animals, purchasing a pig's head or killing a squirrel. I don't know, maybe if you find a squirrel, but hey, let's keep talking about animals.